top
all good.
guest I've ever had.
Oh my
The
God, this is amazing. So exciting right off the jump.
dude, right off the jump, probably my favorite segment of the population is lesbian YouTuber. What a
Really? I don't know if
special
I'd agree, to be
what a
honest.
special group of people.
A unique group,
Breanne
for sure.
Williamson. I just watched your video of where I guess it felt like a TikTok, but it was on Instagram where you're like me trying to be the dad or the boyfriend during games you played as a kid.
Yes. Yes. When I
I
was, I honestly, I've just been repurposing the TikToks everywhere because it feels like the only thing that fucking works these days.
yeah.
But yeah, no, when I was a kid, I was always either the dad or weirdly the robber. Like, why were little girls into things
The
getting
robber.
stolen from their fake houses so often? I don't know, but I was like the robber and the dog. And I think there is a strong
The dog was very
correlation.
male.
Yes, it's if you were the dog when you played make believe as a kid, you are queer now. It's official. There's no questions asked.
That's really true. I think I was a dog a few times, which was definitely gay of me.
Oh
But I
yeah.
always was like, I'll be the boyfriend or I'll be the brother, which was a popular one.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
I'll
The
be brother.
bro.
Like, yeah, I'm your older brother.
Yeah,
Which was like a first expression of lesbianism. I
absolutely.
loved playing husband, especially if we could really reenact sort of the more intimate moments. I would really appreciate that.
Oh, yes. I remember me and my like bestie, we would just lay in bed together and, we're like, oh, this is what we're doing. We're a husband and wife going to sleep. And in my
Yeah,
mind, I was like, why does this feel so right?
I
And here we
know.
are. I'm a
I would
flaming
always.
dyke. Can I swear on this one?
Are you kidding me? Of course you
Okay,
can
just double
swear
check.
on
I
this
always
one.
ask. I just said
Oh
flaming
my
dyke
god.
off the jump, so I'm just double
This
checking.
podcast could be called Flaming Dyke. Like it's 100. This is the right show for you. I
That would do really
remember
well on the algorithm. All the
I,
sites would love that, I'm
I
sure.
would get lots of ads.
Lots of sponsors.
Yeah, like Sakara Life is like we really want to work with Flaming Dyke. I I remember when I would play those games, I would always be like, let's just jump to the nighttime. How about like let's do like a 7 o'clock. Let's start. It's sundown. I've come home from a long day of work and I'm just dying to be blown.
Absolutely.
I'll call action. Does that work for everyone? Everyone's like, what the fuck is wrong with your older sister, Sammy?
I like how you set the scene. Time's not real anyways, so we might as well just jump to the good bits. Let's just go
Yeah,
with
I
it.
would always be like, I'd be like, all right, now we'll do a quick daytime. We'll kind of rush through it on fast forward. We'll drop the kids off at school, and then we'll do a scene just me alone with mom while the kids are in class. Does that sound good for everyone? Just like so thinly veiled my
Yes.
motives.
I love
Um,
that.
so okay, so you're doing that as a kid. I mean, I don't really know your story or much about you, so I'm gonna learn
Mhm.
about you along with my listeners right now. And really, my episodes with lesbian YouTubers are just kind of taking myself and my audience through your lesbian life, like
Okay. Love
you
that.
know. So if you're playing as the dog, which is very gay, when did you realize you were queer?
I think I think this is relatable weirdly for a lot of people, but I was fucking girls for a long time before I realized I was gay.
What did you think you were doing?
I don't know. It wasn't like the practice thing. It was just, everyone goes to that. Oh, were you practicing kissing? No, no. It was like full real. But I think I just thought I was just having a fun time, you
How
know?
was that high school?
That was high school. I feel like I just thought it was, I think I escaped a lot of finger pointing by being like, it's to be hot. Like it's kind of like for the
Oh.
male gaze. Like I use the male
But you were doing it
gaze.
in private and no one knew about it.
Absolutely.
For the
But
male gaze, as one does.
then all the lesbians, all the guys would call me a lesbian and I'd be like, shut up. What are you talking about? And I would just deny. I'd be the girl who always like made out with girls at parties. So I think people thought I was like the fun party girl with
They
that
thought you were fun.
vibe. Yeah, they thought I was, just a fun gal in high school having fun with her pals. And then I went on a Mexico trip with some high school friends right after graduation. At this point, I think I had in my mind been like, maybe you're bi. And I was trying to kind of figure that out because I was like, I don't know, girls make me really nervous. And I think I'm in love with a lot of my best friends.
You had
And
that. You were in
then
love with the friends.
oh, yeah, yeah. Like everyone since elementary school, looking back now, I'm like, I loved them in a way they didn't love me. Like,
Yeah.
I now understand that. But at the time, I thought it was a mutual exchange. So I think unpacking that later on in life is like, oh, friendship's different. Got it. But then we went on a group trip to Mexico. And at this time, I was like hyper femmy. I was the girl who would go to a house party and I'd be wearing like a bandage dress with like 5-inch heels. Like I loved that. And I went to this
Not overcompensating for anything.
not at all. Not at all. Not at all. I went to this Mexico resort, this all-inclusive resort, and it was like I can still picture it, like a slow-mo movie scene. There was this basketball short sports bra wearing gal across the pool who's about my age, and I immediately became hyper fixated. Like when I
Wow.
say that for every moment of that first day of that vacation, I I knew exactly where she was standing. Like I was always I was aware. And I was there with my boyfriend. So this
Oh
was
my God.
something. And then basically this progressed because if you've ever been to an all-inclusive, everyone kind of gets shipped in the same day, right? Like
Yeah,
all
you
the
become a
idiots.
family.
Yeah, you get off the bus, so there's like 400 idiots that get off the same bus. You're there for a week. It's like adult summer camp. By the end, everyone's business, the whole thing. So by like day 3, we had kind of like joined groups, and I was now very close to this sports bra lesbian. And we were just, we were pals. And every night my boyfriend would go to bed, at like a reasonable hour for a Mexico vacation at like midnight, 1 a.m. or whatever. And I would stay up with this girl at the 24/7 bar on the resort all night until like 6 or 7 a.m., at which time I would go back to the room and then we'd wake up like an hour or two later for breakfast. Like I
Oh,
spent every night for like 5 hours alone with this girl. And in my mind, I was still like, I don't know what's happening.
did this girl hit on you?
Oh, yeah. She was like, we were in love. We fell in love, Ali. This is like,
So
this
did
is
you hook
like,
up?
we didn't. But you know what? It
How?
was, it was so, it was so it was all of the emotional cheating. Like it was every conversation was surrounded around like, but I can't because I have a boyfriend and like I'm not cheating. I'm being like reasonable because I'm not kissing you. But we would literally like stare into each other's eyes and be like 1 inch apart on the beach and
I
like
can't
hold
believe you didn't
hands.
cheat.
I can't either. And looking back, honestly, I wish I fucking did.
Yeah, I mean,
Like because I was so
I think
young, like whatever.
that's what I'm saying. Like at that point, and you're figuring out your identity and your sexuality. That was a moment you could have seized while he was sleeping. I mean, by the way, what does he think you're doing, hanging out with the dyke by the 24/7 bar?
I think he was in denial too. Like at this point, I think it was fairly obvious to both of us what was going on. And I had been like talking about how many girls I thought were hot. And I used to always say things like, oh, like if, like if I wasn't with you, I'd totally marry a girl, those kind of statements. Like I like girls so much better.
Was
Guys
he
are
turned on by
annoying.
that?
I think he wasn't, but I think as a young guy,
I
he
think
thought
he
he
hated
should
it.
be. I think he hated it. But I think he thought because of the toxic nature of the current time and space that he should be. turned on by it, because all
Right.
the other guys were like, oh, that's so cool when girls make out. Like, I don't care when my girlfriend does that. So like misogyny helped
Right.
me out. And
Right. Right. In
I,
some ways, it
yeah.
makes it acceptable until you kind of cross a lesbian line, and then society starts being like, that's not cool. Wait, where did you grow up again?
Vancouver, Canada.
Okay, so you grow up in Vancouver, and you're always, throughout high school, you're having these kind of hookups with other girls, but this
Yeah.
Mexico trip kind of makes things clear for you. But
Yeah.
the first time you hook up with a girl and you're telling yourself, it doesn't mean I'm gay. This is kind of hot that I'm doing this. Are you
Mhm.
totally overwhelmed by how turned on you are by it though, and like how like great it like the experience? Like for me, hooking up with a guy
Yeah.
compared to a woman is like it's
Yeah.
like watching a movie on mute in
Uh-huh.
with the color all the way down, and then a girl is
Yeah.
like a 3D film where the sounds are you're in an like a huge amphitheater. Like it's a muted nothing experience compared to this vivid you're in it, right? So how are you able to hook up
Absolutely.
with girls and then date this guy? Are you're upset about it, or you're fine with his sex and you're fine with the hooking up with other girls? Like I don't
Well, I
understand.
will say I was very good at being performative with my one boyfriend.
Okay.
I will put it like that. I think I also confuse, like a lot of people do it at a young age with men. I thought performance was sex.
Yeah.
Like I hadn't orgasmed and I was just like, that doesn't matter. Like it's about kind of like putting on a show and being sexy. I was very conscious of like how my body looked and how I was being perceived. And I wasn't in it. Like I wasn't enjoying it. And then when I had sex with a girl for the first time, I orgasmed and I immediately started sobbing my eyes out. Like
Okay.
I
So that's a little
remember
bit of a red flag.
Yeah. I remember being so emotionally overwhelmed by the realization that like that's how a hookup was supposed to go and
Was
that
this
that's
after
how it was
Basketball
supposed to
Boy?
feel. No, no,
This
no,
was
no, no. This was
before.
before.
Okay,
This
so
was
you're
before.
overwhelmed. You can't
I'm
believe this is what it
overwhelmed.
is, right?
Yeah. And then I'm like, well, I'll stick it out because in my mind, I was like, I'm going to marry a guy. Like, that's just my reality. I think I was so stuck in heteronormativity and just that expectation for myself that I wasn't even willing to come out to myself yet fully. I wanted that option of, of, the out. I wanted the option of I'll still marry a guy one day. Like I'm just having fun, whatever. And I think a big part of that was because, and why I could still cling to that was because I hadn't been with or communicated vocally about my sexuality with someone who was reciprocating it. And then when I was in Mexico and that girl was actually saying she liked me romantically and what we were doing was not for fun or just because it was hot, I was like, oh shit, this is real. Like, this isn't just like a silly thing that young girls do.
Yeah. Wow. I'm impressed you were able to, because I had a similar thing of it was hard to come out to myself, but you were
Yeah.
able to like fuck. You still were able to fuck all these girls. Like I was like, I can't come out to myself. I can barely touch a girl. You're like, I cannot come out to
Yeah.
myself, but I will eat some pussy. That's kind of the lines I will draw, which seem fair.
Yeah.
But so after your basketball boyfriend, do you break up with him after you have this moment with this woman, or do you still say to yourself, no, let me hang around and
So we spend the whole week together in Mexico. And then when we got back, we broke up like the week after. And when I tell you, I was so devastated and heartbroken that I didn't hook up with that girl in Mexico.
oh, I
Like
thought you were gonna say
I
about the
was like,
breakup.
oh, well, I was in a way, but I think what I was mourning was that I knew I would never date a guy again.
Yeah, you're
Like
crying because you're gay.
exactly. And at the time I was like, is this heartbreak? And I'm like, no, this has been my beard. Like, this is the one guy that I've been with. This has been my like, high school love in my mind that I was like, I'm just gonna marry this dude. We're gonna have kids, we're gonna do the whole thing. And then once that was gone, the reality hit that it was like, I am not interested in looking for another guy. This is so embarrassing. When we broke up, I remember the next day I'm sobbing my eyes out. I think I'm going to die because of all the things hitting me. And I go onto my Facebook because at the time that was like the main thing. And I went through all of my friends list looking to see if I could find another guy that I thought I could like or be with. I don't know why. I was like trying to fix it in my mind. It was like autopilot.
Yeah.
And I'm going down this friends list and I was like, I don't want to be with any of these guys. Like, I don't like guys.
Yeah.
And it was just that I spent like a week in bed. I was like, my life is over. This is devastating. It was all hitting me at once. Meanwhile, my long lost Mexico love crush is gone forever because these people only exist in Mexico resorts, as we all know.
Of course.
And I am just heartbroken. It was just everything at once. And I think it was a lot. And I think my family and friends were very confused because they didn't fully understand why I was so devastated. So when they were trying to make me feel better in the way that you would usually make someone feel better about them and their partner breaking up, it wasn't hitting for me. Like, it wasn't working and I didn't want to talk to anyone about it.
Yeah.
So I became a recluse, I would say, for a few months. I didn't talk to anyone. I didn't go out anywhere. It was really a rough time. And then that's when I kind of started fully unpacking for myself that, like, I'm going to be with women. Like, I like women.
Right. And so you're not sharing with your family that you think you might be gay. Of course, you're doing this thinking on your own.
This is me thinking on my own. And I think a lot of people skip over that coming out to yourself thing. Like, a lot of my friends that are straight or family that are straight, the assumption is that, like, oh, you've always known and you just like weren't telling us. And for a time that was true, but a lot of the journey, like, I was just as much in the closet to myself. I was doing everything to convince myself.
I am blown away that so many people have this experience where it's like lost on them that they're gay. Because I feel like I knew I was gay, but I was always rejecting it.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want it to be the truth, but I knew.
Right.
But it's
right.
By the way, I love when you see someone who's like presents much dykier than you or me, and they're like, "I had no idea I was gay." I'm like, really?
I love that too.
I'm like, of course you're gay, which is like so delightful
So
that people are just like so doe-eyed moving through their life.
Yeah.
How are we searching for, our sports bra love on Facebook? What are we doing? We didn't get her number. How did that happen?
You know what? I think that I was embarrassed. I think I was like kind of overwhelmed by the whole situation. So we did eventually add each other on Facebook. And then years later, we kind of, messaged and communicated and just kind of laughed about the whole situation. And so, like, I have connected with them since. And it's so funny because of the lesbian world, I have been at pride events in various places and run into them.
That is
which is
amazing.
So funny to me. But yeah, no, it definitely was just like this young kind of love connection that I definitely appreciate and attribute to helping me come out. And I've communicated that with them because I think, in a way, which I know, like, eye roll, people always say representation is so important. But for me, I was in such a bubble which I know seems ridiculous because I was like kissing girls and hooking up with girls, whatever. But in the bubble that I was in high school, I think there was like 120 people in my graduating class. I had been friends with the same people. No one at the time was out as gay in my graduating class in high school.
Can I ask how old you are?
I'm 31.
Yeah, same here. No one was.
Exactly. So it's different. It was a different time. It just wasn't something that I had around me. I didn't have the shows that people had now. I didn't have the social media. I didn't have all that stuff. So unless I had seen that sports bra wearing, basketball short wearing person across the pool, like, I don't know. It might have taken me a lot longer. Right.
Right.
It was that moment for me.
Yeah. I mean, the only show that there was that I didn't.
Yeah.
Once, I don't know when the L Word came out, but I remember later in life seeing the L Word on my parents' television as like an option I could click. But I was and I knew I saw that and I was like, I know what the L word is. Like I know what word they're talking about. And I didn't I was so tempted to click and watch it, but I didn't want it to be on their history. So I didn't watch it. But other than that, all I had was Rosie and Ellen, and I was like, this is not me. I don't feel this way. Like I am very confused. And I've said this 100 times that they're just not like, they're like two-dimensional cartoon TV talk show hosts. Like there was 100%. No Miley Cyrus, Kristen Stewart, the Bachelorette is gay and the president is, I'm like a lesbian. I'm like, there's no bisexual senators wearing like a hijab. There's nothing like this is going on. No. Like it was like, what does this even look like in the world?
Yes, exactly. And even when you did have some representation, the farthest it went is they carried the label, but you didn't know anything about their personal life. As you said, they were two-dimensional. So you weren't seeing any storylines unfold on TV shows. You weren't, getting to really know them besides like maybe a small excerpt in an interview. So it was very hard for me to grasp any sort of reality where it would be okay for me to be gay and live as gay, or that could even be a fucking possibility. Like at that time when I was going to high school, like it wasn't like, am I gay? Oh, this person's gay. Maybe I am too. It just did not even cross my mind.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about now, because now it's like you can't get away from the gays, which I love.
I know, you can't get away from them. And okay, so after you go through this period and you eventually name it to yourself, do you immediately start dating women? Do you start going on, I don't know, dating apps and looking for women? Like, what's the first step you make in like living that life?
Well, Tumblr. So
Tumblr. Why is Tumblr so gay?
Tumblr, I think Tumblr was like safe feeling because it was still kind of niche. So it wasn't like the Facebook where all the it felt kind of secret, which is funny looking back because social media is so not secret. But at the time, I think I still didn't really understand how it works. So I was like, I'm going to make a Tumblr account with my full name, Breanne Williamson, and no one from my high school or anyone will ever find it because it's Tumblr and it's this weird niche thing. And
it feels like it's in like the lights out in like the attic of the internet, but it's like fully not.
Yeah. And it was the first place that it kind of felt easy to find community because you could search like hashtag lesbian and that would come up, Right. So I, found a bit of a community on there. That's where I started posting about like my feelings and coming out to myself. And that was like kind of like an online diary in a way. And then I ended up having some online relationships with people, some of which I still have never met, which is just so baby gay. I can't even handle it.
Like an online girlfriend?
Oh, yeah. I had many. There's one that I had for
Me too.
6 months and I've still never met her.
Did you even see a photo?
I did see photos. I had another one that I got some nudes from, which was very exciting. But
That's
I also
really exciting.
It was very, very exciting. And I sent to her at her family's address a anonymous bouquet of flowers, but the only thing I could afford at the time was like their smallest one that came in like a little happy face mug. It was like a thank you to teachers flower bouquet.
Oh my, thank you for teaching me about myself.
So I sent that off and she got it and she posted a picture of it on her Tumblr feed and I was like all excited. I'm like, oh my God.
So why didn't you meet up in person?
I don't know. I think a combination of it was still that I wasn't out. So my like panic was, oh, if I go somewhere, I mean, I'm still living at home. I'm just starting college. I'm like, if I go somewhere, I'm going to have to tell my parents where I'm going or why I'm going. And again, in hindsight, if I had just said to my parents, like, oh, I'm going to this place to meet this friend, it probably would have gone right over their head. Like they're not thinking I'm a fucking lesbian at this point. But you feel like you have the lesbian alarms going off all around you. So you're like, any nod towards it is a no-no.
Yeah.
And then the other part of it is,
yeah.
And then the other part of it is I had no fucking money. So I'm like, try and get $600 to get on a flight to go visit this girl and have to explain to my parents where I'm going seemed outrageous.
Right. So when you start college, do you start as an out person? I always feel like it's easier.
No.
Oh yeah, you're like that wouldn't make
I,
sense. Let me meet people as straight.
I fucked up big time on that. And then I would pick and choose who I was honest with and who I would lie to. So
Same.
then it was just kind of keeping up the like house of cards constantly, which was a really stressful place to be in. You know, some of the people I was in classes with, I was like, I feel like this is where I'm straight. And then I'd go to another class and I'd meet someone who had like blue hair and I'd be like, I'm a lesbian.
Okay. I totally get that.
You
I did
know?
the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. You're kind of like dipping your toes in.
You're like, anyone in my law class, I'm straight for that class. Okay, that's a really straight room. You just completely judge
Yeah.
everyone in there. So
Exactly.
okay, all right. And then where do you go to school? Where did you go to school?
So I go to school at CapU here in Vancouver, British Columbia. It was kind of fun because this one girl who I had a really big crush on, she was in the business program that I was also in. So we were in a couple classes together and I thought she was an absolute babe and I was just obsessed with her and in love with her. And she was so straight, like the most straight girl you can ever imagine that's ever lived, right? Like she eats, sleeps,
I know
breathes
her.
being straight. Yeah, you do. You definitely do. And I was just obsessed with her. And one day I was walking down one of the halls, and because I had created this house of cards where I was out to people and I was not out to people, some of my friends that I was out to in different classes had invited me to this like queer collective movie night that was going on. So I was like, okay, perfect. It's after like all the classes are done. No one's going to be around the campus. Like I'll go to this queer collective. It'll be a cute start. So I'm walking, and of course, I'm just outside this fucking event. And who comes up is Straighty McStraighterson, the love of my life.
Right.
And I'm
Where
like,
are you going?
fuck me. Yeah. She's like, oh, hey, what's up? I off the cuff, and that's one thing. I've gotten really good at lying, which is crazy, but it's true because you look like you learn how to do it with a straight face on off the cuff real quick.
You gotta.
I was like, oh, I'm in a event planning class, which I was. And one of our assignments is to attend an event that's happening on campus and rate how well it was planned and what you would do differently in the future.
That is genius.
We had a certain amount of events to choose from, and I was given this event. So I am now heading into this queer movie night. I'm for no reason other than this assignment.
And what does she say?
Flawless. She was like, nice. Like,
I mean,
I got to
that's brilliant. That's fluid, smooth, clean. I would not doubt that for a second. It makes sense. And if you said it because you have the class, and if you say it just believing it, I would be sold on that. And it's so psychotic how fast you came up with that.
I know it is psychotic. And the real psychotic thing is that you start to believe these things. Like then I'm in this, queer collective movie night, and I'm judging the space. How'd they do on the invites? How'd they do on the snacks?
Right.
Did it start on time? How's the host doing?
You're collecting intel for your lie.
Yeah, for my lie, for my 3-page essay that I'm going to be compiling for this event. That's not actually happening. But yeah, you start to believe it too. You have to commit to the bit.
Of course. And I mean, I think that like even saying that like I just want to preface because I think that a lot of queer people have the potential, well, at least me and you. I understand the potential to do that, but I think it's because like I was in survival mode for so long about being gay and having to hide this that like I'm not just lying because I'm a good liar. Like I'm so scared, so terrified, have been like hiding something with awareness for so long that like if you don't make up something, it feels life threatening. So it's not that you're a psychopath.
Absolutely.
I just want to say.
I mean, I am kind of, but for different reasons. Right. But yeah, when it comes to the lying about being gay thing, it becomes second nature. It's just, it is what it is. I mean, I had a friend's mom walk out. I had a job at a coffee shop, and this friend's mom walks in, and she was kind of like the mean girl's mom of our community. Like she was always trying to be up on like the kids' goss and all that. Yeah. And she walks right up to the counter and she's like, Bree, how are you doing? I hear you're a lesbian. And I was like, what? I've literally never panicked so much in my life. And I was like, no, what are you talking about? Well, at this point, I had a full ass girlfriend, but I was just so stressed. So like you go into that moment where when you're so used to being in survival mode for so long, even when I had started to come out to friends and certain family members, I would still lie in the moment just because that was like my natural go-to for so long. Like deny, cover it up, move to the
Yeah.
next.
Yeah.
That call it internalized homophobia or whatever it may be, I would just jump to that. And then
Right.
part of the frustration for me was that I'd be like, fuck, I just did it again. Like I could have
Right.
just said, yeah, and I think about it for the next like day, like, oh, I should have just been like, oh yeah, why? Or,
Right.
whatever. But I
Yeah.
felt like I always added more to my plate to unpack. And then because of that, it felt more and more stressful to like publicly fully come out.
Always.
Yeah.
I really totally. I mean, and the other thing is like when it feels like uncomfortable or like if you feel awkward about like claiming it, then the people
Yeah.
around you are awkward about it. And I
Yeah.
would be like, why are they so weird about it? And it's like, no, I'm the one that's like sourcing how weird everyone's being because I'm not being casual, chill, honest about
Totally.
it. So then everyone is like,
Yeah.
oh, is it weird? Is it okay? And it's like
Mm-hmm.
you're putting that out. Like people think you're not okay with it, so they're not sure how to act.
Totally. I had friends that I was out to, like a few of my close first friends that, we'd be going to a party or other friends would be coming to hang out. And I'd be like, oh, when they get here, don't tell them that I'm dating a girl. So I was like fucking putting this on them too. Now they're carrying this. And,
Right.
then they were weird about it because they were like, I don't know. And I wouldn't tell them shit because I didn't want them to potentially relay it accidentally. And it was a whole thing. But, we create these mountains for ourselves, not because we want to, but unfortunately at the time, we have to. For me, it wasn't an option. I knew that certain family was not going to be accepting of it. I was very stressed out, and I genuinely believe at the time that it would not have been a good choice for me to come out any younger. So
Yeah.
when people say, oh, do you wish you came out younger, honestly, for me, no. I think that for me, it kind of saved me that I waited until I was comfortable enough with myself and I had the resources for myself to do so.
Right. It's like if you were comfortable enough, you would have come out and you would
I
have
would
felt
have.
prepared.
Yeah, and it would have been the right time, but no, it wasn't the right time.
Of
So it is what
course, it's
it is.
not the time until it is the time. I
Yeah,
mean, this
exactly.
is I get it.
Yeah.
So what happens when you do come out? You're like, I'm still actually not out to my family. When you do come out to your family, are they, was it your fear or were they how did they react?
It was a combo. I mean, my dad was pretty shitty about it, to be honest. They're great now. So it always sucks to like relay back to the times when they weren't so great
Yeah.
because you like to give people a little bit of grace, but I also think it's exhausting that we give this applause to straight people that are nice about people coming out. Honestly, I think it's kind of exhausting that we're like, look at these hero parents that don't hate their kid because they're gay. It's like, okay, well, that should be the status quo. So shut the fuck up. But yeah, with my family, I think my dad was really stressed about what other people would think. He was pretty shitty. Like, he full on got mad when I told him that I was going to bring my girlfriend over to like meet them. He was like, okay, well, I'm not going to be here. Like, basically, like, well, I'm not going to meet her. So fuck off. Another component of that was I really wanted to put out a video. My first video on YouTube, funny enough, was my coming out video because things had started
Really?
happening. Yeah, like the mom coming up to me at the coffee shop. And, I heard the whispers kind of around the community I grew up in. And I was getting increasingly frustrated about the various storylines that were out there and feeling like I had no control over them. And I just got to the point where I was over it. So at this point, I, had not made YouTube videos. I was not a YouTuber. I had just been on Tumblr and I was like, okay, I'm just going to make a video. I'm going to post it to my Facebook where all of my high school people are, and
That's
they're going to
ballsy as
just
fuck.
fucking see it. Yeah. And it's kind of crazy, right? Because I had all these years of just trying to figure out ways to do it. I had all these plans in my mind. How am I going to do it? And then I was like, you know what, let's just rip the fucking Band-Aid off, because I got so exhausted. I was like, I cannot keep up anymore
Right.
with all of these variations of my truth out there, both from what I've presented and what people have made up in their heads.
Yeah.
So it's like, this way I can say it the way I want to say it. I know what's going to happen. I know everyone's going to send the video to each other. I know they're going to talk behind my back about it, but at least they
I'll get
have
followers from
my
it.
words. At least I'll get the fucking clout. No,
At
honestly,
least
at that point, I didn't
subscribe
even
to
have
the
any
page.
me. Like, subscribe down below. Yeah, so I put this video out, and I think I purposely did it, maybe even subconsciously, while my parents were away. And I posted it, and I'll never forget, my mom like called me crying about me posting it. And I think she was like upset that I posted it, but also she was really upset that I referred to myself as queer in it, which I think is a generational thing. Like, she thought I was like slurring myself. Like, like she thought I was like putting myself down in the video. And I was like, Mom, like the community in my college is called the queer collective. Like, that's like a positive word, all-encompassing word now.
That's really
And she was like,
funny.
I just hate that you called yourself queer. It's like, oh my God. So they were like emotional about it. They had a lot of opinions about it and about the way I did it, but they came around. I think I put up with a lot in order to keep the peace, with the hope that eventually they would, and they did. So that's, the end game was great, but the like fighter for LGBTQ plus rights in me, it was like, it sucks that I had to like kind of endure bullshit and act like it was okay,
Yeah.
just because I wanted them to be okay with me.
Right. Do you start seeing a community emerge for yourself on YouTube then, or it came much later?
Mostly then, but at the time, again, I had no real understanding of what that was. I didn't watch YouTubers. I thought of YouTube as like the place you go if, a concert happens and you want to see a clip of it or whatever. Like, I didn't know of it in as a space where there was like personalities and
Right.
people that people follow. So yeah, I mean, I got a lot of views on that video, and then from there followers, and then I just kind of started posting videos organically, and I think that's where my social media stuff kind of started. And then again, this is aging myself, right around that time Instagram was just like coming out.
Right.
So then I started an Instagram page. And then for a long time, I was like, do I keep it straight? Do I add gayness to it? Because I was getting followers on YouTube and on Tumblr that I was like, I don't know if they're going to come over here. And it was like this whole thing. So it was a weird starting point for me, because it's not like how people are doing it this day and age, where they're like going into it with an idea and a niche, and they're posting with intention. I was just kind of seeing where everything
Right.
went on its own,
I
honestly.
I get that. I mean, I had a huge breakdown around, can I be gay in my personal life but still be straight on stage? I had
Yeah.
this like fantasy, not a good one, that I would be gay, like do gay jokes on stage or talk about being gay and immediately lose the audience, or they wouldn't find my other jokes funny because they'd be judging me the whole set.
Right.
But it was
Wow.
just me being insane. How do you just describe what you share on YouTube now? Because I've seen videos of you with your girlfriend. I've seen videos from, I mean, maybe it was that I heard she's a lesbian series you
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
tell people what you're up to on there.
I think well, eventually in the next, like, I would say in about 6 months, I'm gonna be putting out my next film, which I'm very excited about.
Ooh.
I would like YouTube to become more of a space for that for me, but also like sharing fun vlogs and just more lifestyle content. I used to do a lot more advice stuff on YouTube, but I'm finding that people like it in shorter form. So now I do it on TikTok and on Instagram. That's advice in a way that it's not formal advice. It's just my own experiences as a lesbian, and people relate to them or they don't. And kind of just giving a sense of community. So now I do gay girl tips on TikTok, and
Can we hear some gay girl tips?
yeah, gay girl tips. Okay, let's see. How do you want PG to R? You can choose.
R?
I was gonna do one that when I was figuring out how I could do it without getting banned on TikTok about how there's no cool way to put on a strap. So you just like have to roll with it. And like something that's actually fun is like owning the not like coolness and just like having a giggle with the person you're with because it keeps it fresh and like fun and light and actually connective. Because trying to be the person that's like being really sexy stepping into a harness
A
or
diaper.
like it literally feels like you're putting on like a diaper over top
Yeah.
of you, and then you're like trying to get this like piece of silicone through the right spot and like hold on, let me just tighten this side, hold on, like it's just not,
It
it's not
isn't hot.
necessarily the sex, it's not that moment when you switch from whatever else you're doing to okay, the strap is going to make an appearance. It's not, that transition is a very
It's
difficult
clunky.
transition to, yeah, it's a clunky one. So I think if you can just own the clunkiness, it's actually like cute and fun instead of stressing about it. So that's like a
That's a
little
good
example of
tip.
something I would do.
I
Yeah.
like that. I've thought that in my head, but I've never heard someone say it out loud. So it's a good thought. I need more gay girl tips. I feel like that's a perfect niche.
That's a
So
little
these are on
sample for you.
TikTok, but the
These are
ones
on
on
TikTok.
TikTok, I'm sure they would kick you off the app if you talked about being that gay.
Yeah, I mean, there's ways you can say it without saying it. So that's what
Yeah.
that's what we do.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. And yeah, your girlfriend makes a lot of appearances on your YouTube. How did you guys meet?
We met at a bar, the old school, the old person way, at a bar before,
In the
now all
flesh?
the in the flesh in real life. When the lights came on at the bar, I was looking around for my friends at 3 a.m. and I saw her and I waved at her and she walked over and said, "Do I know you?" And I said, "No." And then we just started talking. And then we got kicked out of the bar because it was already closing, the lights had come on, and we sat on the curb talking for an hour. I asked her to go home with me. She said no. She got in her separate cab, and I was like, I'm officially in love.
You asked her to
I'm
go home with you?
obsessed. Yes, I
Uh,
was
th-
I was having one night stands. I don't even want to say how often. It
And
wasn't
she's
even
like,
just every
"No,
weekend. She said
we're
no.
gonna take it slow."
Yeah, she was like, no, see you later. Like, sayonara, bud. And I was like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with you. Like, I'm
You just
actually in
needed
love with
one
you.
person to reject you, like, or just keep you at little
I
arm's length for a moment.
Yeah, I liked the rejection. I liked that she was kind of indifferent about me, or like pretending to be, at least. At the time I was like having a lot of fun being single, having one night stands, having a lot of great fun nights with some really cool people, but I just hadn't connected with anyone in that way. And then yeah, I had told her that night that my birthday was November 23rd, and on this was like a month and a half before. And then on my birthday, she texted me. I was actually going to a hockey game with my dad, and I got a text from her. She was like, "Hey, I remember it's your birthday. Happy birthday." And I texted back without anything else, no context, that I said, "I like you."
Had you
She was
not been
like,
talking in
"What?"
between?
We had not been talking at all. 0%. I just texted her
Whoa.
and said, because I had given her my number, so she hadn't texted me. I didn't have her
Why didn't she
contact
text you?
information. I don't know, but
You
it
haven't
made me even more
asked?
obsessed. I don't know. Like I asked, but I think she was just like doing her own thing. I think she was like, I don't know if she fully knew that she liked me the way that I knew I liked her. Like I was in fucking love.
Right.
And then I think she just thought, oh, I met a girl at a bar at 3 a.m. Like I
Right.
like to romanticize in my mind that we both felt this way. But she was probably like, oh, this drunk girl at 3 a.m. like made me sit on a curb with her for an hour. I don't know, like the difference of perspective.
Right.
So,
Right.
and then so she texted me a month later, and then I'm the crazy person. So I texted back, I like you. And she responded like, question, like, what are you talking about? I said, I really like you. And she said, oh my God, like, you're literally nuts. Like, ha ha ha. And then I was like, I want to date you. So, like, how do we do this? Because, like, I want to date you. Are you just learning that I'm crazy? I'm a crazy person. I'm
Well,
full
you have nothing to
crazy.
lose here. I mean, might as well.
I
She's
have,
sitting on your number
I,
for 6 weeks. Seize the opportunity.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, let's date. Let's be girlfriends. Let's get married. Let's be life partners. Like, what's going on? Let's hurry this up. And she was like, I don't know, like I like to take things slower. Like, I don't know if I'm looking for a relationship right now. Like, I'm kind of like, I just got out of a relationship however long ago. And I was like, me too, I get you, but like I'm in love with you. So let's lock this in. She was like, no, no. And I was like, she's like, I would love to start by just being friends or like hanging out and then we can see where it goes. And I texted back, I was like, I totally respect that. But no, that's not going to work for me because I cannot be your friend because I like you so much. So you text me again when you are ready to go on a date, and then we will go on a date. And then a couple months later, she texted me again. She was like, hey, how's it going? And I was like, I'm actually, weirdly enough, at a charity bowling event in your neighborhood. Where
I'm
you
outside
at?
your house right now.
Yeah, funny enough, I'm just parked across the street. Basically, honestly, I was like, I didn't know at the time where she lived, but I was like 2 blocks away from where she lived. Yeah. And she was like, okay, well, if you want to meet me for a drink. So I went and met her for a drink, and then the rest is history. So
how long has it been?
8 years.
Holy shit. I thought you were going to say like 2 years. 8 years?
No.
Was
just
that
8, yeah.
Was that first date magic?
Oh yeah. Like I was in love. I was in love from the first moment. Like I am so in love with her. And I know people will disagree and be like, that's crazy. Like, there's no way that can be. But I had been on plenty of dates and I had so many hookups that it's startling to think about. And I just can't describe the way that I connected with her as a person, like immediately. Like, I was like, this is my person. In some capacity, she's meant to be in my life. And here we are. So far, so good.
Is amazing. I love to hear that. Lesbians, I feel like they either tell you that I've been with them for 15 years and I've been obsessed every day, or you hear, lesbians, we talk about lesbian bed death all the time. I've been living with them for 15 years. They've become my sister.
Oh God, yeah.
We don't touch, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's, we live in the extremes.
We do. I think, lesbian bed death is a weird but like very real thing. I've had a lot of friends like deal with that. And then like a really weird thing that seems to happen, at least with a lot of friends of mine, is when they deal with that, then their resolve is to open up their relationship, which like whatever, like I'm chill with, that's none of my business. But like I always find that so fascinating that they're like, okay, we either like aren't fucking each other or don't want to fuck each other anymore, so let's just fuck other people and see how that goes.
Yeah, it's like weird... it's like a ship is sinking and you're like, well, we should probably like take out a raft instead of like fixing the hole in the ship.
Yeah. Wait, and then they get divorced and it is what it is. But yeah,
tell me, what are your tips for keeping it hot for 8 years plus?
I think okay, first of all,
fuck once a day.
Much more yeah 3 times a day. Make sure that you're going down on her. No. I think one is being like communicative and aware of each other's sex drive. I am much more sexually driven than she is, which is really totally fine by me. And I think a lot of people, especially in like lesbian relationships, because we're sensitive little ladies, get offended when their partners aren't like as charged up as they are at all times. So I think like not putting that on your partner or like making sex a thing that feels like a requirement all the time, but something that you can both get excited for when you're excited for it. So I've learned what that is for her, and for her it's being like ready. She likes to have a shower before, she likes to have a little romance, she likes the scene set, whereas I'm like a rabbit. Like I could fuck anytime. I don't care if I haven't showered in 2 days, like let's go. Like I don't care, like call me like crazy, but whatever. Whereas like she likes the build up, she likes the text from the start of the day. So if I'm looking to get laid, I start with like some romance, a little flirtatious text, set the scene. Can't wait to see you later when you get home from work. We're setting it up, we're laying the groundwork.
You're doing the work.
I'm aware that if I just jump on her at some point, she's probably gonna be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, not the vibe for me.
All
So,
right,
it's just learning each other's what works. That works for her. So yeah.
I got some Q&A advice out of you. I got more gay girl tips. I really appreciate it. I think you're you get it. This is a compliment I give some of my guests. You are one of the guests that get it. You get it. You get what I'm talking about. Tell people where they can follow you or find you.
Sure. You can find me TikTok, Instagram, YouTube at Breanne Williamson. And there's a link in my bio where there is a newsletter and a text list that will have all the updates for my upcoming LGBTQ plus romantic comedy film.
Cool. Oh, that's fun. I can't wait to hear about that. Thank you so much for coming on, Breanne.
Thank you.